I saw more people on YouTube saying that the iPhone 7 or 7 Plus is still current today, at least 4 years after the official release. They also claim that these phones are still usable, don't need an upgrade, and even that they can be used for another 2 years without problems. I own both phones and they are not as good as some YouTubers say, but there are some moments that I'd like to share with you to understand why I consider them already outdated in 2021. I noticed that the 2GB RAM on the iPhone 7 doesn't work as before. Almost all the open apps reload again every time you use them. I'm talking about very simple applications like Photos, Settings, Gmail, Google Docs, Google Keep, YouTube Studio. Sometimes after 5 minutes, if you want to switch back to the desired application, it will reload again. It seems RAM doesn't hold anything. The iPhone 7 Plus handles much better. It's only reloading much harder applications and after a longer time. The signal is very bad for both Wi-Fi and mobile data. In places where the iPhone 7 Plus somehow has a signal, the small version has almost nothing. The chip on both phones is from Intel, but anyway it's a difference of 20–30%. The iPhone 7 after 20 minutes of surfing on Safari becomes very hot and it's impossible to keep in your hand. As you know, Safari is an application that doesn't need many resources for a simple navigation. iPhone 7 Plus instead gets this hot on games or video calling on WhatsApp. In fact, I think WhatsApp heats up everything possible. Apps on both phones crash on their own. I don't know what would be the reason. Maybe the apps themselves aren't well optimized, or because the device gets hot, but I can say that this wasn't happening a year ago. It takes the pictures as well as it did in 2016, but when I press the shutter button, it takes longer for the pictures to be taken. On 7 Plus I didn't notice this problem, but there is something else, such as focusing during filming, or sometimes when you open the camera to capture the desired moment in life, the display turns black, as if the camera was covered, or everything freezes when you open the camera or change the mode from normal to portrait. It may take few seconds. Usually iOS updates are done automatically at night, when it's charging and certainly no one is using it. But for example, I like to keep this option disabled. I like to choose when to do that update. So never update the iOS if you need the phone in the next 1 hour. It is taking longer than usual to complete the process. An update of 130 MB took around 45 minutes. On iPhone 12 Pro instead, this update installed in 5 minutes. So in the end, I can say that it's definitely not worth buying a small version iPhone 7 in 2021. What can I say about the iPhone 7 Plus? I think the price difference is not so big compared to an iPhone XR, being a little smaller but having a much larger display and handling well with all everyday tasks. I don't understand why it's considered that if the iPhone still receives updates, then it's still current. This is not a criterion that determines the user experience. I would accept only the security updates, and that's it. Otherwise, you get a phone that consumes battery fast, runs apps much slower, gets really hot, and with some applications shutting down on their own. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll see you soon.